Okay, we're starting the shiur on Shin Chaf Aleph, which is going to be a shiur on Beis Gimel. It's going to include a little bit of Dalet Hey, but mainly it's going to be on more on Gimel than on Beis. Maybe we'll come after that back to Beis, because we're going to discuss the shiur of Shtayim B'Yachat anyway. So we'll do Beis and Gimel B'Yachat, because that's what's the main nekudus. It's a complicated sugya. It's mainly difficult in pshat, which also has ashlachas and halacha, but mainly it's how to learn pshat in this whole gemara and this whole sugya. So we'll try at the best as we can, and you can help me out in certain things which I'm stuck myself. Okay, I'm going to start with the Mechaber Siv Beis. Mechaber Siv Beis says, one is not allowed to make mei melech a lot together, to put into some things which you make as kavashim, which is pickled. Why is that? And this is here the Mechaber follows Shittas Rashi, because it's doima to the malacha of ibud. Ibud means when you take oiris and you make leather out of it, and the first thing you do is you salt it. And salting it is the tchilas malachas ibud, it's a chiyuv chatas. So anything which is used for ibud, like the mei melech, is doimel ibud. So even though by food, b'chlal, there is no ibud, ein ibud b'achla. So Tosis explains, and others, and the Pri Megadim brings it, that it's only midiraisa. The Rabbanan beferish is yesh ibud by food as well. But one is allowed to make a little bit to put in the teichatafshel. But if you put two-thirds melech, that's called mei melech azim. That the Braisa says, the Mishnah says that's also b'chlal, the Braisa. Also lasses memenu afilu meyat. So if you make it azim, there's no heter whatsoever. If you don't make it azim, then the heter is if you make a little bit. Or let's start over here. Let's look at the lashon. We have an interesting the Yukad Reisha, the Yukad Seif. It starts off saying mei melech harbe b'yachat is aser, but with another tanai. Lases l'teich hakvashim. How about making harbe b'yachad lases l'teich tafshel? And then the other way, the sefer. Avol yochel lases mimenu mi'at lases l'teich tafshel. How about lases ma'at lases l'teich kvashim? So, in the Achreinim, they do have discussions. Some say yes, some say no. So I want to learn the Alter Rebbe's lashon, the way the Alter Rebbe says the Sif. And I think according to this, the ganze Shaila wird verempfert. The Alter Rebbe says, Sif Gimel, V'chein asa lasis me melach merubim, oishar mashkim, im melach merubim, im melach, sorry, you have to make a comma. Oishar mashkim im melach, not the melach merubim, because that's azid, that's a different story. You're not allowed to make lasis me melach merubim, oishar mashkim im melach, comma, merubim. What does that mean? Law says l'teicha kvashim, in order to put it into the kvashim. The hainu mine yerakis ishad devarim shekoivshim leiskayim. Things like we do pickled stuff. We make pickled tomatoes, pickled pickles, and so on. And the Alter Rebbe adds in Sigrayim, afile yoichel mem gam le'alter she'ein toirich b'shvil achoy levaat. How can you do pickling on Shabbos? Pickling takes at least 24 hours. And so any malacha you do, it's achana. You can't do it anyway. So says the Alter Rebbe, no, it could be if you do it, you're going to plan to eat some of it on Shabbos itself. It's not going to be perfect yet, but you're going to eat some of it. And especially if you did it in one malacha and one pu'ula, you poured it in one time. So if you're in a hand on Shabbos, the fact that it remains after Shabbos, lav dafka, that's called teirich achar Shabbos. So the Alter Rebbe wants to take that out of the equation. Don't think the discussion is mitzat achan. It's not achan. Now what's the iser? Ki v'shikoy v'shoysam leiskayim. Because it is koy v'shoysam leiskayim, it's doim le'ibit shamelech mekayim. So how did you learn pshat in the sif? The Pashat Pshat in this sieve is we're not discussing about making the Mei Melech. We're discussing making Mei Melech and Shar Mashkin and put it into the Kvashim. And the Isra, we're not discussing about the Mei Melech. We're discussing the Isra of making Kvashim. You're not allowed to make Kvashim on Shabbos. Why? It's Daimel Ibut. So that's the Kvashim itself. And here the Alter Rebbe uses the Lashon, what? You're not allowed to make Merubim in order to put in, the problem is the Kvashim. Now the Alter Rebbe continues. Here you clearly see that what? He wasn't talking about, till now he wasn't talking about the Mei Melech. Now he's talking about the Mei Melech. That was a Hagdama, Hachshara. You can't make Mei Melech Merubim in order to put into Kvashim. That was the problem. Yeah? But the Afilu Lasis Mei Melech, Ishar Mashkim Mei Melech, Shaloi Lasis L'Teicha Kvashim. Stam, I want to drink Mei Melech. I like Mei Melech. I want to dip the egg on Pesach. I want to make Mei Melech. El little bem spita. Well, also is l'teicha tafshel. So that the Rebbe teaches his clothes. I befeirish want to put teicha tafshel. Also, lasses mem harbe beyachad. The heine lasses bebasachas l'teich tibul beis sudas. So the Alter Rebbe makes very clear this shaila that we had, that the Yukad Reish, the Yukad Sefer. As was. Ein leisel Mei Melech merubim lasses teicha kvashim is the isser from the kvashim. And because usually, and therefore, you cannot never make harba, even losses lotecha tafshel, was it taich harba, more than you need for one suda. Elamat letzedech suda achas buvat, mipnei shehu oisa mehem harba nireki ilu oisa am likvisha. And then the Alter Rebbe says, vafilu letzedech suda achas eine the shoy lasses elusamach lesuda avaloi mesuda lesuda. Why? So, one is not allowed to do anything when it comes to Melicha. If it's Shloile Alter, it's never a heter. As we're going to see later in Sheikh Narich, even by Beitzim, in cooked flesh, which the Melech doesn't do anything. Nobody makes pickle of cooked flesh and cooked eggs. Nevertheless, if it's for Lahanicha, for another Suda, it is Asr, because melach is doima leibut when you make it for later. Or according to the Rambam, doima lekovish kvashim if you make it for later. So here we have then three halachas over here. What? If you make mei melach, so first of all, the halacha is you can't pour mei melach into something to be kovish, which is going to be similar to Siv Gimel. You're not allowed to put melach and stuff. This is an offshoot of Siv Gimel. You can't put melech, you can't make kvashim. Either mitzad kovish kvashim is daimah to a bishul or mitzad miyabit. Comes a new halacha. You cannot also make mei melech merubim, even if you're going to put it into a tafshil. Why not? Because mei melech merubim looks like ibut. Putting mei melech on kvashim, that is ibut. It's just not a deraisa because ein ibut ba'achalim, not it. It's only the rabbanon, but that's ibut. Or like Mevashel, according to the Rambam, like Kivisha. Mei Melach, you're putting the salting, the making the Mei Melach, if you make a lot, for more than one Suda, then even if you're going to use it, you're going to put it all into a tafshul, you're going to eat some of the tafshul. By this Suda, the fact that you're making a lot is already doimali. That's the second halacha. There's a third halacha, that if it's azim, it always is asr. Yeah? Then the Alter Rebbe says that in the next shtickle, Beishli Shemelech Rishari is also a filu ma'at l'tzorich tibel sudazu, because that looks like merayas, which is a special sauce that you make lichbesh beidogim shadarke shemerayas l'soisekach, and again it has the two problems. But also lichbesh b'Shabbos, other mishim ibut or mishim bishul, same problem. So, but over there, so in other words, stamazoi, what do you have? Stamazoi. If you're not putting in stamazo, you need to have merubim. The water should be merubim more than one suda. Then it becomes also no matter what. If you have azim, if it's a lot of salt, shnei shlishi salt, then it's also even you make a little bit of water just for one suda, because that also looks like merayas, which is ibut, doimale ibut oi mishim bishul. Yeah? And then you have a fourth halacha actually. What is the fourth halacha? Is if it's not for this Suda, even if it's ma'at, the making harba is a problem, even if you're going to use it in this Suda. Even whatever. The making harba is already a lot, is a problem. So even if you make, also a lot means you're going to use for next Suda. I'm sorry, a lot means you're going to use for this Suda, next Suda. But even if you make ma'at, it's for one Suda, but it has to be, like by Boyer, close to the Suda. That's the fourth halach. So that is Sif Aleph. My Sif base. The Mechaber in Sif base says, it follows Rashi, and he says, well, it's Domali Ibut. Of course, the Alter Rebbe is already saying, the halachas we can see later in the Taz and the Magen Avraham, that we accept both shittas. But the Mechaber says, here he says Ibut. And Sif Gimel is going to use the Lashon for Kevish Kivashim, which is the shittas Haram. Now we're going to come back still. We didn't discuss everything in Shir Gimel and Sif Beis, the Magen Avraham. What happens with the halacha of adding shemen? If you add shemen, is that matir? If you add shemen before you put in the melach, if you add shemen after you put in the melach, is it for this Suda? Is it for next Suda? That will be in Yetz Hashem most likely in the next year. But now let's go to Sif Gimel. Sif Gimel Zog the Mechaber. Also, the Meloyach Chatichas, one is not allowed to be Meloyach Chatichas Tzanein, which these are the types of vegetables that in those days they used to make Kevish Kivashim from it. I don't think in our times anybody does that, but in those days they did. Arba Echamas B'Yachat, 4 or 5 together, which is an interesting lashon. Rashi in the Gemara, as we'll see soon, says Gimel Dalet. Here it says Dalet Hey B'Yachat. Why? And here the Mechaber follows the lashon Rambam. Till here was not a lashon Rambam. The reasoning the Mechaber says that Shenirek Kevish Kivashim. In Vakevish is also Bnei Mevashel. That's cooking. Elamatabel Kol Achas Levada. He dips each one separately, and he eats it. Because this is a vegetable that you the derech to make kivashim from it. It affects it, it changes it, it takes away the meridas, it makes it hard or soft. So there's ibut shayach where the Mechaber says it's kovish kivashim. Avol beitzim, nobody's kovish kivashim with beitzim. Mutter lemalchan, one is allowed to do melicha on beitzim. We're going to learn later on in the next sif that even with this, like the Alter Rebbe just said before, nothing could be done for the next Suda. Anything with melach has a tinge of ibut or kvisha, and therefore it has to be done for this Suda. Yeah. So even beitzim, which is mutter, lemloyach, and pashtas it's mutter even harbe beyachat, because if not, it's the same as snon. By snon we said you can't do harbe chamesh, l'chur b'pashtas here you could do. But for next Suda, as we're going to see in Siv Hey. Let's continue first Mechaber Siv Dalet. Siv Dalet. Yesh Mishakasa, this is going to be the famous Trumas Hadeshin that he brings from B'Yesod. Yesh Mishakasa. Shumuta Litvu Kama Chatichas Tzenoin Achas Levada. That you could do many. Dalet Vehei as well. But as long as I didn't dip them together, held them together and dipped them in, or I didn't sprinkle on top of them, so the salt goes on all of them together. No, but I dipped each one separately, but I didn't eat them. I put them down. They're all together in order, but not later, not even at the end of the Suda. Miyad zu achazu, right one after the other. That's the shitta of the Trumas Hadeshin. Actually, the Trumas Hadeshin brings another shitta which he disagrees with him. Even the Trumas Hadeshin, which is Mekel, on this shitta he's in Gantz Chelik, that they want to say that meloyach means only sprinkling. That's doim leibut. But taking 5 together in the hand and dipping, that's not a iser. That's not doim leibut. But that the Magen Avraham is not going. The Trumas Hadeshin doesn't accept. Yeah. So the Mechaber only brings what the Trumas Hadeshin had to yesh mishakasav. And the question is whether the Mechaber holds that for Svardim. Does he hold like this Yesh Mishakasav or not? That's another discussion for later. But he certainly brings the shit of Trumas Hadeshen that what? That if you do separately, even though you don't eat them together, but you can eat them yat, one after the other, zu achar zu, that is mutter. Then Sifhei says, also limloyach bosar mevushel, or beitza mevushelas, which this is not snan. This is not kovish kavasha. Nevertheless, lahanicha, to leave it, and bepashta the taich means, and the way the Alter Rebbe teaches it, for the next Suda, the Magen Avraham teaches also Lanicha Misuda L'Suda. That is also because anything with salt has to be Dafke L'Oisa Suda. Okay, now let's go back to Taz Aleph. I'm not going to learn the whole Taz inside, but I'm going to start off with the Gemara inside. With the Taz quotes the Gemara, and that will give us clarity in the whole Suda. Zog the Taz, Kedei Levara din Zainatik Asugi Lefarshik Yad Hashem Atei V'Alein. The Perik Shmeini Shratzi. Tanya Magaret Nabraisa. Rebude Bar Chaviva Oime. In Molchen Tznoin Ubeitza B'Shabbos. So Rebude Bar Chaviva holds you cannot be Molech neither Tznoin nor Beitza. Pirish Rashi. Rashi says, what does that mean? Gimel V'Dalat Chatichas B'Yachat. Which in the Brais didn't mention a word of how many pieces. Rashi adds that on his own. And Rashi gives the reasoning. Sha'amelach ma'abdam v'nasim koshin. Because Melech is ma'abadam, it changes their mitzias, their character, and they become hard. V'avatikon, that's tikon, and it's doime to ma'abad, or it's ma'abad, it's just not a deraisa, because it's achlet. And Cheski Yomer, no, Tzenoin is aser, but the Beitza is mutter. And also is psak v'achik kaim, and it's psak halach in Gemara. Because Tzenoin is something that the Melech affected, it's aser. Ma'ashen kim Beitza, the soul doesn't affect it, it's mutter. This up till here is the Brais. Now starts the Gemara, which is a memory of Reb Nachman. Oh, Reb Nachman, in the beginning I thought you could salt on Shabbos Tzenoin, because Pirish Tzenoin. Why? Amina, I thought, I'm ruining it. So not only is it not like what the Braisa was talking. In other words, even though the Braisa it says maybe in his days nobody did that, so he thought that in his days it's like a beitza or even better than a beitza because it's got mafsit, it ruins it. The Omer Shmuel, because he had a memory, Shmuel said, "Pugla tzenoin charfa ma'ala." The sharper it is, the better it is. And when you put salt in it, it takes out the medidas. It changes it. But Kivin, the Shaman, Allah, Damarula, the Bamarav, and Erzsal, Malichi, Kishri, Pirish, Rashi, Tila, Gevoyan, piles and piles, they do it. We're talking in the weekday, not on Shabbos. So what do we see? This is a delicacy. Adarabah, they do it that way. Oy bazoi, it's like in the time of the Gemara, Tzenoin is affected by salt. Oy bazoi, Mimlach loy malachna, I stopped doing Moilach. Pirish, Rashi, Shtayim beyachat. I do not do any more shtayim beyachat. But tibul, dipping, vade matvilna, we do. Pirish Rasha, b'shas achile, b'shas ha'it, matvilna, v'achilna, I dip it and I eat it. Okay. Adkan is the Gemara. Now, we have over here a few diyukah reishis and a few diyukah seifos. And let me make a hakdama, as I told you, for those who asked me yesterday. Like we said in Siv base. When it says you can't make merubim, and put it into gavashim. Then you say you can make mu'utim and put it into tafshil. This is not lav reisha sefer, lav sefer reisha. Which one is it? Is it the problem because it's gavashim? Is it the problem because it's merubim? Yeah. And I always give the mashal. You cannot say you're not allowed to cook on Shabbos, but on Yom Tov, if it's pekuach nefesh, you could cook. If it's the pekuach nefesh, it's Shabbos also mutter. Is it because Yom Tov is mutter, then don't add, yeah? Anytime you add, so it's another thing to the main davar v'afuchay, you don't have a davar v'afuchay. It's another case. So which one is it? Is it because it's not pekuach nefesh? Is it because it's Yom Tov? Yeah. So here we're going to start. Here we have a braisa and a memory. In the braisa, there's no davar v'afuchay. The braisa says you're not allowed to be moilech, period. The braisa doesn't give you a heter that Tevilna is mutter. The Braisa has no ration, no sefer. One statement. That's the Braisa. And Rav Nachman has a ration and a sefer. And Rachma says, Milmach loy malachna, we're not allowed to salt, but tevilna we could do. Yeah? That's a Lashon HaGemara. So the Pashtus Lashon HaGemara would mean salting would seem like to be sprinkling on it, and tibul, dipping, would be mutter. That's a davar v'afuchay, a beautiful davar v'afuchay. You're not allowed to sprinkle on it, or maybe even if l'tayich mimlach means to salt them all together, but dipping separate, you're allowed to. Yeah? That's how we would have learned without learning Rashi. Comes Rashi, and Rashi makes weiter the Yukad Sefer problem over here. So Rashi adds that the problem is not the sprinkling, this problem is not the dipping, it's because it's staying b'yachad. It's two things. Yeah? And then Rashi says, in Vostayich Tevilna, so Tevilna, I would say, means it's only one. Okay? But Rashi adds, Vadem at Vilna, Rashi adds also Tevilna, B'shas Achila, Matvilna V'achilna. So Rashi adds another issue over here, timing. So now we have two issues on our hand. Is it the timing issue? Because I'm doing it for a little later? Or is it what? Is it a metzias of sprinkling or dipping? Or maybe of how many together? One or two? Also, we have a stira from the Braisa, the Rashi in the Braisa, the Rashi in the Gemara. In the Braisa, Rashi says, on the word ein moilchin, which means mimlach mamlachna, yeah, mimlach malachna, Rashi teaches in the Braisa the same, moilchin teaches Rashi gimel oidalot is aser. Over here, Rashi says shtayim is aser. So, in order to explain this a little bit, so the Trumas Hadeshen doesn't discuss the Braisa. He discusses his halacha, his heter, and he bases it on the Rasha of the Gemara. So let's see how he does with the Gemara. I'll say it about that. So comes the Trumas Hadeshen, and Tainet, as Mimlach loy melachna means, like Rashi says, shtayim biyachat. In the main nekuda over here in the Reisha is, it's because it's biyachat. That's the issue. And therefore, the hadavar v'hafucha is going to be, but if it's not biyachat, it's called tevilna, meaning dipping each one separately. So biyachat means either sprinkling or dipping, but it's a few together. That's mimlach. Tevilna is each one separately. Means there is no issue of timing. So it's a beautiful davar v'hafucha. But there is a Rashi. Rashi says tevilna v'achilna right away. So FRM for us, tevilna v'achilna is not a pratin right away. No, tevilna v'achilna tells you b'chlal that enochanama. If you do it for the end of the Suda, if it's not right away, and right away the Pri Megadim says we have three right aways. Right away, mamish, like one dip and putting to your mouth. Second is you could have a minute or two, or ways you eat one right after the other. While you chew the first one, the other one stands. You chew the second, the third one stands, which is maybe a few minutes, maybe. And the other one, the third one, is soif suda, which is also called the altar. And one in Shin Yutes, that's the altar. It's still for the same suda. Then there's something which nobody calls the altar. It's for after the suda. But in the altar gufa, there's three types. So what the Trumas Hadeshen will bewahren jetzt, as was nicht meinen that when Rashi says the Vilna Vachilna, I mean the first altar has to be immediate. Kum techois, then you have a stira Reisha and the safe. I just told you the Isser of the Reisha was what? Because it's staying biyachat. It's mashma that one of them separately, each one would be okay. And I'm telling you no. You have to eat it immediately. So you can't dip separately. How can you dip separately when you eat the first one, the second one is standing? It's an issue of timing. So again, if you learn the ratio of the Rashi that yachad means b'diuk, shtayim b'yachad, that's the issue, then the sefer stimmt nicht, because the sefer Rashi says I must eat it right away. Tevilna v'achilna. then I can't do shtayim separate, because while I'll eat the first, the second one will stand. Come the Trumas Hadeshen, and he says, Tevilna v'achilna doesn't mean I'm going to eat it right away. Tevilna v'achilna means I could eat 3, 4, one after the other. All I meant is don't leave it for the end of the Suda. The Lashon of the Trumas Hadeshen is la'achar gemar Suda. What you see clearly, the Taz and the Pri Megadim, how they teach it, means for the end of the Suda. It doesn't mean like in Shin Yutes, la'achar Suda. That's not called la'alter. He says it means it has to be, it's also even la'fuke Shin Yutes. It cannot be Suda. It has to be what? Achilna, not right away, mamish, but one after the other. Now it's not a stira to the diak of the Reisha. It's added another prat. In other words, it's like saying you cannot cook on Shabbos, but on Yom Tov, you can cook, but only if it's Eichel Nefesh. Not for a good, not for tomorrow. That's not a stira. I added, it happens to have another prat. So the Reisha tells us by us, Shtayim B'yachad is the Isser. That's one Isser, Shtayim B'yachad. Then comes another prat. That what? That's the Isser, Yachad. Aber separate is mutter. But because Rasha Yatzachilna, which we would have thought it means eating it right away, mamish la'alter, mamish, that would have been a stira to the diak of the Reisha. Because of the diak of the Reisha's mashma, it's not a timing problem. It's only shtayim b'yachad. And in the Sefer, you're telling me that what? That you can only tibble one and eat immediately. That means you can't even do separate too. You just told me the problem is yachad. And here you're telling me even separate you can. Are you following me? I need answers, Chavre. Or give me your hand.
Yes.
Huh?
We are following, yes.
Okay. Right. So that's why, says the Trumas Hadeshen, yes, you could dip one after the other. And what Rashi says you must do tevilna v'achilna means you can't do it for Seif Suda. Then he says, how do I know that? So he brings a raya from the Arzurua. And the raya will be put together through an Arzurua with a smak usmak together. How? He says the Lashon of the Arzurua is V'zel Hashoyna. V'chein kasav Arzurua V'zel Hashoyna Mutter litful atznan b'melech laniach shaktana b'shab. So here's his raya, bomba raya. The Arzurua says clearly that the shaketana is mutter. So it's a raya, what I just told you. That the achilna means it can't be to Seif Suda. But achilna 2 minutes later is okay. The problem is only in the Reisha because it was shtayim b'yachad. But it's not shtayim b'yachad. If it's 1-1, no problem. Go ahead and eat one after the other. Who told you that? Who told you that? This is my way of learning because I made a chiddush that the Reisha b'chiddush is a shtayim b'yachad, and therefore I told you tevilna means only 1-1, one by one. Maybe not. Maybe tevilna v'achilna means I'm not only allowed to do one b'chlal, and even that one, in that one I could leave over for a little while. But who told you when I do one by one? Maybe when Rashi says shtayim b'yachad, it didn't mean b'yachad holding together, and it didn't mean sprinkling on it. Maybe it meant shtayim b'yachad, even dipping one after the other. That's a doima to ibit. If you do more than one, even one by one, it's still doima to it. How do I know? So how do I know that the Izruah says you could do shakatana? Okay, I see already that shakatana is mutter. I see that. So I have a raya that achilna doesn't mean right away. Fine. But who says it's mutter for 2? Maybe once you have 2, it's the Reisha says it's awesome no matter what. Shtayim is awesome. Therefore, he brings the smak usmak. The smak usmak says you're not allowed to be, let's say, the Lashon. V'zel Hashoyna. Tznoin also limloyach k'dei lashoisoi b'melach yoyse b'chaticha achas. You're not allowed to do shehiyah more than one chaticha. Avolit for pam achas shari kerib nach. Taich tarein the Trumas Hadeshen in this mashma. The b'chaticha achas ain't kepeda afilu lishas tuva. Because he's saying you're not allowed to lashoisoi, and taiches lashoisoi means even lashoisoi tuva. Yoiser machaticha achas. By Yoiser machaticha achas, you have a problem of lashoisei tuva. Is mashma of a pam achas. There's no iser b'chlal. Even to Seif Suda you can do. Oi, bazoi, kumtois, yes, that's shit as a Trumas Hadesh. Since the smack is mashma, that one piece is what? Is mutter even till Seif Suda. One piece is Bechlal Elamai, where is the problem of Seif Suda Lashoisoi? That's by two. But Shokitana, so when the Orzerua says that you could do Shokitana, what is he talking? But one of the Chmutra Filo Lashoisoi, Elamai, when the Orzerua is mate to do Shokitana, he means dafke two pieces, but you do it separately. So that's how the Oir Zerua, that's the Trumas Hadeshin, comes to his halacha. And I'll make a short sikkim of it right now. So the Trumas Hadeshin ties the ratio of Nachman Mishtayim B'yachad is also because they're together, dipped together or sprinkled together. Is Araya, the Sefer means that separate is mutter, I setach stein amanut. And stetig vachilna, you must eat right away. No, vachilna means you shouldn't eat it a soif suda, but 2-3 minutes is not a problem. And he builds that up, and that's mutter even by two, as long as there's one by one, separate. And he builds that up from the Zerua. It says Shokitana is mutter. Maybe the Zerua talks about one piece. Who says two pieces is b'chalal mutter? Maybe that goes in together of the Reisha Shtayim Yachat. Maybe that's also called Yachat. So to know, because the Zerua is talking about Shtayim, because by Achat you mutter l'shoisei. The smack only said also l'shoisei yoisei machticha achas. Machticha achas is no shayla b'chlal. Maybe not for next Suda, as we learned at the Alter Rebbe, even Beitzim you can do. But for Isa Suda, the end, like in Shin Yutes, you can do. One is not a shayla. Two is a shayla. And on that says the Zerua Shokitana is mutter, and along is also, and that's the pshat of the Trumas Hadesh. So therefore, his psak halacha is that you're not allowed to take two together and dip no matter what. Even la'achle l'alter mamish in the second. First la'alter. Do it separately, one by one. You could do, if you eat it at the second la'alter, one after the other. But if you want to eat just one, you could dip it and leave it till the end of the Suda. That's Shittas HaTrumas Hadesh. Now let's continue. The Bach has his main problem with the stira from two Rashis. He says, first Rashi says, we'll talk about the same Melicha, Ein Molchin, and Rashi says, Gimel, Oy, Dalet. And later, by the Reish of Reb Nachman, Rashi says, Shtayim. What's going on over here? Rashi doesn't like it all, the whole Mahalach, the Bach doesn't like it all, the whole Mahalach of the Trumas Hadesh. He says, at the end, he says, the Trumas Hadesh might be right if you hold like the Rambam. Koivish Kavashim. So therefore, Koivish Kavashim, nobody pickles one thing. Pickling, you do many things together. So over there, you could say, Chilik, if you do two together, it's Daimer to Koivish. If it's separate, it's not Daimer. But we're holding like Rashi. Roif Poiskin Paskin like Rashi, it's Ma'abed. By Ma'abed, you can do one leather, one oil. By Ma'abed, it's not about a lot. By Ma'abed, you have no difference. Shtayim b'yachad and not b'yachad. So he erases this whole taich of Reb Nachman's Reisha means yachad doesn't exist according to the Bach. So now he really has a stira. Yachad doesn't mean yachad. So when Rashi says yachad, it means even one by one. So first Rashi says Gimel Dalet. And then Rashi says Shtayim stira. Then he has a better kasha. The Tur and the Lashon HaMechaber is Arba Oy Chomesh. Where did that come from? Where did that grow out? It's either Shtayim or Arba. Where is Arba Oy Chomesh? So the Bach learns Pshat, and this is Psak Halacha L'Maisav, the Magen Avraham, the Alter Rebbe, most Achreinim follow that this is certainly to be machman like this Shitta, like Shittas HaBach. Therefore the Bach learns that it's all about timing. There's no such a thing as two or one by one. It's all about timing. And you can only dip one at a time and eat it right away. Because if you do two, you're going to be waiting more than the first Shir La'alter. Nothing more than the first Shir La'alter is mutter. And therefore, I'm sorry. That's for, I'm sorry. Gimel or Dalet is for sure also. The word is not Yachat. The word is one by one. But timing of Gimel or Dalet is already too long. And therefore Rashi says Gimel or Dalet in halacha of the Braisa, that's Aser B'tachlis. If Rashi is Mesupik Gimel or Dalet, Gimel is Aser. Then comes Reb Nachman. What is Reb Nachman Machadish? He says, it's Avada and Avada. Everybody knows Derech Achila. There's no melachas. If you dip and you eat, of course you could salt on Shabbos if you want to eat something right away. Tevilna Vachilna is not a Chiddush. Says the Bach, so Reb Nachman's main Chiddush was that he was machmir in himself. You know what? I won't do even 2. Mitzad the B'rais 4 is us, Gimel Dalet is us. Mitzad the Halacha 2 is mutter, because 2 is a very short time. It's kemat like the first La'alta. You eat one and you next right away the second one. But Reb Nachman came and he said, I decided if I see a pugla, it's annoying, it's not mafsid, it's ma'abedit. I was machman on myself not to do 2. And that's why the Bach paskins like that. No such thing as 1, 1, 1. Timing. 2, 1 by 1 is me'ikar adin mutter, but we should be machman like Nachman. 3, 1 by 1 is also betachlis. So the Bach took care of the stira in his way between Rashi, the Gemara, the Braisa, and the Reb Nachman. The Trumas Hadeshen did not take care of that problem. Didn't discuss it at all. Yeah. Besides, as we said before, the Trumas Hadeshen had sich an Eitzig again with the Yukad Reisha, Yukad the Sefer. But really, the Pashtus is mixing 2 things over here. It's possible beside Bekad beside Bechavius. Starts over with Shtayim B'Yachat. According to his Taj, the problem is what? It's Yachat. And when it comes to Tevilna, he's adding other things. Tevilna comes timing. That Seif Suda you can't, only in the beginning of the Suda. Even though the Trumas Hadesh not verempfert, as we explained before, the Taz doesn't like it. It's still mixing 2 things together. So therefore, I'm going to learn inside the Taz. Weiter, after that Kalashena, he says the Chura Divra Rav Tumuim, right? Bezet the Beiser Melicha, which means the Reish cost of the Tola Benim Lechagimel Dalat B'Yachad. Look into the Trumas Hadeshen itself. The Hochi Mashma Loshen Asher V'Sefer HaTruma, the Iki Kepeder Shenimlech Beis Oy Gimel B'Yachad. He adds over there Gimel. Yeah? So it's Mashma that also from the Friediger Asher. So he says, the Be'issa B'Lichi calls the Menimlech Gimel Oy Dalat. B'Yachad Mashma, the Memlich is Yochit is Shari. The problem is Yachat. If you learn only the Reisha, we're not talking about timing. It's only about Yachat. Even if it's the end of the Suda, it's Asr. Even by 1. Because that's the taich for the Sefer. Tevilna means 1. Yeah? So, or if you do it separate. He doesn't like the teretz of the Trumas. You're mixing 2 issues. These are 2 separate issues. V'su, the machalik ben zu achar zu, ben tchilus asud l'sefer. Ma chiluk yesh b'zeh. What is the chiluk? We know ma'ishlam ha'idalel. Then you beir the bridi kol ma'asher teches asud karol alter. Yeah? Which we'll have to find later when we learn the Taz, how all these kashas get answered. I'll have to try hard because I'm not sure if I know myself and everyone. Right. V'su naskir ma'asher yesh la'akshis on the dayeg b'divrei Rashi. Shetolo ha'isr b'mlichas harbe b'yachad min olei. Where does Rashi take it? Bechlal, this whole concept that Yachat makes the issue. Where does Rashi take that? The Gemara didn't say a word. Adarav, a Pashat Pshad, the Chilik is Mimlech Malach, means sprinkling salt, and Tevilna means dipping. But where is this word B'Yachat? Kiven the Thomas Rina Malichas Tzanoin, V'chein Rambam, Lo Yizocher El Stantzna, V'chein Bo Yizuru, Hashem B'Trumas Hadesh. V'su now the next year that I said before, Lama Kasav Rashi Tchile Gimel Edalet, V'ach Kasav Shtayim B'Yachad. And Dr. Mekoyach Zeh HaKushev, the last one, Nichnas Moedicham is al Chilukim ben Shtayim LeGimel, as Shtayim is a Chumra and Gimel is a Isur, V'ein Adas Sevelos L'Chalek B'Zeh. V'su, next Kasha, he doesn't like what the Tur does, I'm sorry, what the Bach does. The Bach, because of his Shitta, makes a Gerais in the Tur. He says, well, that it doesn't say Dalet Hey, it should say Gimel Dalet. Zakti V'su, the Betula Noket Gimel Dalet, Dalet Hey. Where does Dalet Hey come in? Nobody spoke about Dalet Hey. Now that makes enough kashas for the task to name the ganze Sugya. Okay? And now I'm going to say about Per weiter, how the Taz learns. So therefore, the Taz is going to pass mamish kimat like the Trumas Hadesh, with one tiny chilik. He's going to say that one separately you could also not leave till the end of the suda. Timing is an issa no matter what. That's going to be his chilik in halacha. Otherwise, in halacha is going to say that two together is always asad, even the first la'alta mamish. Separately, you could do even gimel dalet, do one by one, as long as you eat taikif, meaning if you a minute or two later, right after one after the other. But he's going to learn a different pshat in the Rashi and in the Gemara how he came to that conclusion. And according to the Taz, that makes much more sense in the Gemara, and all the kashas should be answered if you learn that way. So therefore, the Taz says as follows. We have two Gemaras. Why did Reb Nachman, was it Reb Nachman the Chadash? It's a Braisa. He's repeating the same thing as the Braisa. Okay, he says, first I thought it's mutter, then I realized. So, the Taz learned, Rashi learned the first Gemara, that the Braisa was not Machalek. The Braisa did not have a Reisha mit HaSefer. No Davar Vafucher. The Braisa never tells you when it's mutter. It tells you only ein Moilchin Tznoim. Oy bazoi, at Rashi gelernt, because this is for a little zman, meaning soif suda. And soif suda never has a heter. I mean, by tznoim, by beitza it does. But by sharp things, by things that you do kvashim or ma'abit, that salt changes its texture, no heter of soif suda. And therefore, kumt Rashi, and Rashi's teaches gimel dalat b'yachat. The word yachat doesn't mean yachat. And the word gimel dalat makes no difference whether melicha or tevilna. The ein moilchen is lav dafke. The Deutsch is the prima god. Ein moilchen is lav dafke. The pshat and tas. Ein moilchen sagt Rashi. I mean, for safe suda, like you tell us you could do malachas of boiler just for the suda. You could think melicha. It's only doimeli, but I'm not doing it. But I'm going to eat it up right away. So, no, that's the chiddush. No, melicha is different. It's going melicha, but even for the same suda, soif suda is us. How do you know it's soif? Says Rashi, when do you do gimel dalat b'yachat? When you prepare for all the oirchem, for all the people who are there, for the whole suda. So the word gimel dalat b'yachat is a mashal. It's telling you timing. It's not talking about yachat. It's timing. It's not talking about the tibul or melicha. It's talking about the concept of yachat. I'm sorry, the concept of timing. And that's what Rashi says. V'meila, if you want to say the lashon dalat or hey or vav or zayin, it makes no difference. It's all mishalom. It's all about mishalom. It's all about safe suda. You want to do a few together, meaning even one by one, but you're going to eat it, not take it. You're going to eat it because if you do many, not shtayim, you do many, it means for the whole suda. That's also. Yeah, and when you do anything to the safe suda, when you do something all the way to the safe suda, then there is no heter. And the Gemara doesn't even say a davar v'afucha. That will always be asa no matter what. And if Nachman comes and he says a davar v'afucha, and Nachman comes and says mimlach lo melachna, but he says but tibel I do. The Braisa doesn't gestana. Says Rashi, oh, this is another sugya. Here we're not talking about timing. Timing is always asad. Long time, sof suda always asad. Here we're not talking about timing. Here we're going to be talking, I'm going to do the achilna right away. Side the Reisha talks about that, side the Sefer talks about that. Not like the Trumas Hadeshen, that achilna is added later. No, side the Reisha, side the Sefer talks about I'm going to eat then one after the other. That's what we're talking. The Reisha and the Sefer. The only difference in the Reisha and the Sefer is one, because the Adavar Vafuchay, that in the Reisha we're saying as well that you're doing tu b'yachat. Tu b'yachat is the Ibut that can never be done, even if you do it, eat it right away. But that's not the Nikuda. And Shtayim b'yachat you can never do. Ma'aseh enkim, you do it separately. You could do it when you eat one after the other. Yeah, but not here is the mocker. I think that's the main nikud of the Trumas Hadeshen different, that his kasha is answered on the Trumas Hadeshen, the Taz on the Trumas Hadeshen. Why? It doesn't come out of this davar v'afuchoy that I'm allowed to eat, take one after the other. It doesn't come out of these words v'achil. Over here, we're talking about one thing only. The whole memory talks about eating one after the other. But the Reisha says shtayim b'yachat is asur because that's daimel ibut. Separate is mutter. How do I know I can't leave for seif suda? The Braisa. That's what Rashi said. Gimel edalot is asur. And therefore, the Taz and the Trumas Hadeshen come to the same conclusion. Now what? B'yachat will always be asur. How do I know that? From the Reish of Reb Nachman. Has nothing to do with timing. This Braisa talks even of eating right away or eating one after the other. It makes no difference. Yachat asur. The Sefer says not yachat is mutter. That's it. Was tut sich mit achilna? He is not making a diak of this achilna. How do I know that Saf Suda is mutter? He's not saying achilna means the beginning or the end. How do I know Saf Suda is mutter? I know that from the Braisa. I'm sorry, I don't know Saf Suda is asur. I know that from the Braisa. But maybe achilna has to be one after the other. But the Reisha also meant achilna. Okay? So that's how it seems to me that this is better, how the Taz likes better his mahalach than he likes the mahalach of the Trumas Hadeshen. Nachdem zog the Taz pshat enoy zerua, and he's trying to say which the Prima Godem bleibt mit Akasha and all achreinim bleibt mit Akasha and pshat on the Taz, that he comes now and he says that the zerua is chelik on the smak, which is not clear how he comes to that conclusion, which you have to how to say pshat. But he comes to say to the conclusion is that what? That even one, it makes no difference. The fact that, so now, he's not learning it from the Reish and the Sefer over here. Remember, it's not a decodation you can say over here in that prat. How do I know that for long Zman is also from where? From the Reish. And therefore, it makes no difference, 1, 2, or 3, or bayachat, or separately. For a long Zman, everything is us, and even 1. That's how he disagrees in that prat with the Trumas Hadeshen. Even 1 would be us. Okay? So that's l'chayra, an easy way, and if you could learn it inside, you could work it out further, the second half of in the second omot of the Taz, how he tries to figure out with the Izruah. But this gives us a clarity now in halacha. That what? That the Bach answers 3 or 4 to get even separate, one by one. 2, he says, l'chumri, you should be machman like Reb Nachman. The Taz, and the Mechaber, this l'chura pshat, and the Mechaber, so says the Prima Godem. If after gam Mechaber, this is pshat and the Mechaber. Also like this. This is Trumas Hadeshen. That what? That shtayim b'yachat is always asur, but shtayim, one after the other, is mutter as long as you eat them right after one after the other. Soif Suda, everything is asur, no matter what. The Suda hacheres, even beitzim, in Basar is asur. Das sage ich nicht von da, das sage ich von next to Sifra. Just to make a sikrum on the whole thing. Now, let's try. First of all, the Alter Rebbe will have to leave for the next shiur, how we learn. But let's try to put in over here the Prima Godem Abisala to throw in the Prima Godem. So the Prima Godem tainet like this. The Prima Godem tainet that in the first Braisa, look into back in the Braisa, you have a machlekes between Rabbi Yehuda bar Chaviva and Rav Cheskia. One says Tzenoin is also in Beitz is also also. Rav Cheskia says Beitz is mutter, and that's how we pass it. Yeah? So, says the Prima Godem, Rashi learned, why do we have a machlekes? Why should Beitz be mutter or why should Beitz be asur? Therefore, Rashi had gelernt. That's why Rashi had to say it's dalet hei b'yachat. Why? Why did Rashi have to say that? Says the Pri Megadim, because Derech Gimel Dalet, like we said, Pshat in the Tas. Derech Gimel Dalet means what? Soif Suda. Yeah. So that's why, because we're talking about Soif Suda, at Rashi verstanden. No, so he says the opposite. Why did Rashi think we're talking about Soif Suda? Yeah. He says, because why do we have a machlekes between Beitza and Tznoin? There's one shittot gehalten, because it's Soif Suda, even by Beitza there is Ma'abed. And one shittot gehalten, no, by Beitza, even Soif Suda, there's no Ma'abed, because Beitza doesn't get affected. It just gets a taste from salt, doesn't get affected. So since you have a machlekes between two Tanoim, whether since we have a machlekes whether this is Beitza Asher or Mutter, at Rashi gelernt must be because it's Soif Suda. So one Mandomer says, oh, Soif Suda is also even a Beitza. The other Mandomer gelernt, no, Soif Suda is only Tznoin also, but Beitza is Mutter. That's why Rashi added Gimel Dalet, which tells you a mashal. When do you prepare Gimel Dalet? Which means for Soif Suda. Yeah, that's why. That's Rashi's shitta, and that's how the Taz learns Pshat in the Gemara. Ma'ashenk, it came to the next Gemara. Next Gemara dort steht schon nicht the Wort wegen Beitza. Dort hat Rashi gelernt, der Nachman is talking about what? About eating it right away. That's why Rashi comes and says, oh, so what's the Isser over here in the Reisha? Because it's Shtayim B'Yachad. Here is not timing, here is about B'Yachad. Yeah? So that's how the Pri Megadim explains the Taz, why Rashi thought the first Gemara is talking only about timing. That was a Havamina as well as Beitzim it should be Mutter. So Machlekes, so we pass Kentucky, it's Mutter even the Soif Suda. But the one Mandomer said no. Soif Suda is always Ma'abed. So that's why Rashi says Gimel Dalet, which means it's a question of timing for Soif Suda, as opposed to Speter is not a question of timing. It's a question of Yachad. Yachad is Aser, and one after the other is Mutter, and that is what's going to be the halacha about Beitzim. What's going to be the halacha about Beitzim?
It's Mutter.
So he wants to say, according to this Rashi, but the Pri Megadim wants to say that according to this Rashi's Mahalach and Machanama, only here we were Machalach between Beitza and Tznoin. And Nachman wasn't Machalach. Elamai, over there, Beitzim Shtayim B'Yachad is Takoichtas. That would be according to Rashi, which needs a Bia Rachav, which I don't have an answer. Because the Reb Nachman clearly says in the Gemara, when I thought Tznoin is Mafsidna, I thought it's Mutter. Only when did I come to a conclusion that it's also when I realized it's not Mafsid. Adarab, it's a Maila. So how could the Pri Megadim say that according to this Pshat and Rashi, Beitzim should be also Shtayim B'Yachad? Unless we're beginning Mechalik. Hefset is worse than Beitzim. He thought Tznoin is the best of everything because it's a Hefset God. But how about something which is in between? It's not Ma'abed, but it's not Mafsid. Shtayim B'Yachad always looks like Ma'abed. And that's why, because we're not this Mechalik over here between Beitzim and Tznoin, he thought here's the Isser al Shtayim B'Yachad. That's how the Pri Megadim teaches the way the Taz learns the Rashi. That the first Gemara was talking only about timing, and that's why there was a chilik between Tznoin and Beitzim. Ma'ashenk and the second Gemara is not talking about timing because we're not discussing between Beitzim and Tznoin. Elamai, we're talking about Yachad and not Yachad. That applies to everything. However, the Rambam doesn't mention a word Shtayim, that doesn't mention this word of Shtayim B'Yachad. The Rambam says, Asalim Lech Tznon, Stam. Tznoin. He doesn't say anything about Shtayim B'Yachad, Gimel, Dalet, whatever. So he says that's why in the B'S Yosef, he wants to say that the Mechaber didn't like, in that prat, he didn't follow Rashi. When it came to the second Gemara, he rather follows the Rambam. The Rambam is not machalek between Shtayim biyachad or not. Why? Because the Rambam says the Isser is mitzat kovish kavash. And therefore, Beitzim is never an Isser no matter what. Anything which is not a derech, Ma'abed is a Metzias. Lav dafka so much a chilik between Stone and Beitzim. Sof kosof, the concept of Ma'abed is a Avmelach. Kovish kavashim is only going to be something that is the derech to be kovish. Some reason learned doesn't the Prima God. The Mekam is the Zelda Svara by Ma'abed also. But he says the Rambam learns that Isser is mitzat kovish kavashim. And therefore, Beitzim there's no kovish kavashim at all. No such thing. The Mele Beitzim is mutter even Shtayim biyachad l'seif suda. Masha ein kein Tznoin is also the Seif Suda, but you can do it to eat it right away. So let's read the Lashon Mechaber, and we'll finish with this for now. Siv Gimel, which is a Mechaber's own Lashon. It's not the Lashon Rambam, the whole thing. Also the Noya Chatichas Tznoin Arba Chamish Biyachat. Because he follows now the Rambam. But over here, it's not mitzad ma'abed. Over here, it's mitzad kovish kavashim. If our kovish is also, and even though the Mechaber holds Rashi be'etzem, because when it came to Mei Melech, he used ma'abed. But he follows also the Rambam. Here he uses, our kovish is also, neishukim mevashel. And Elamai, what's the only heter? Ela, matavu kol achas levade v'ochla, which means you're not allowed to do tu b'yachad because that looks like kovish kavashim, which is similar to Tumas Adesha. Aval Beitzim. Mutter L'molchen, what is that taich? Even Shtayim b'yachad. So he's not machala between the first Gemara and the second Gemara. One is talking, everything is talking about what? That everything is talking about timing. Tznoin is talking about timing. You could only eat, you could be, I'm sorry, metabel kol achas levada v'achla, yeah. But Beitzim, you could do even two together. So again, no, let me see. I'm not clear myself. What did I say now? Is it Tznoin? Is it the timing? Or is it because it's Harbe B'yachad? Let me look into the Prima Gadam again. From Chaber Bochel Derech HaRambam Zal Bezed. Hash the Beitzim Shtayim Yachid Stakashar. Because the Ein Derech Lichbush Beitzim. I'm Magam Rama Seibel Bush. Braise Pligi Moilich. In the Braise, why did the Braise is a Machlekes? Moilich Kipshutoi Shtayim Yachad al Depizim. So he says the first Braise is also not talking about later. It's also talking about Shtayim B'yachad. Everything is talking Shtayim B'yachad. Chad Omer Damal Mleches Ibut. Ibeitzim is Damasa. Because as the Prima Gadam learns, if it's Ibut, Beitzim is also Shtayim B'yachad. He says, Das Gufa is the Machlekes between Rabbi Yehuda Bar Chaviva and Rav Cheskia. Is the Isser Ibut or is the Isser Kovish Kavash? So Rabbi Yehuda Bar Chaviva had gelernt the Isser is Ibut, so that's why he asked also Beitzim. But the word is Shtayim B'yachad, not to save Suda. Shtayim B'yachad. If Echad Omer Atam B'dama L'Kovish Kavash, and therefore is Beitzim Shor. And Mishamacha B'siv Beis, in Siv Beis Bacha B'derech Hatur, and he said the Lashon Ma'abed because he took a holds like Ma'abed. The Vada B'oichle mit der Rabbani Yeshibut. Aber the B'siv Hey Lahanicha and a Chaname Take to put away for longer. It took also Beitzim because that's Yesh Ibut mit der Rabbanan, and for a long time there's Ibut even by Beitzim. Bo Einter is of Hey. Aber also Shaper Lechud. The Bocher aber Kan B'divrei Rambam Zal Ka'omer. The Nafkim in the two Viladina as was that now he says over here he says like the Rambam that doing by Beitzim two together. It seems like very interesting that it means like that by Beitzah, when it comes to the next Suda, he'll say it's Daim Alibut Tzasa. But when it comes to two together, he's holding like the Rambam. There's no such a thing as Ibut, it's only Kovish Kavasha, which is interesting. If you're holding Ibut, that you can do it. Punkt Rashi is Moida. The Mechaber is Moida and Sif Hey. That for next Suda or for Seif Suda, or at least for next Suda, you can, because it's Daim Alibut. Hastas, you're also learning Ibut. And the way the Prima Gadam learned that if you do two together, Mitzat Kovish Kavashim is mutter, but Mitzat Ibut should be awesome. So Lechayre, this should be also awesome. So Daficham Mabir or the Smeida. But he says that this is Pshat over here, that Mitzat Kovish Kavashim Beitzim is mutter Shtayim B'yachat, and Tznoin is Aser Shtayim B'yachad. Ad Kan, for tonight will be Mitzvah Mamshech next week, and this Shiurim weiter Moralichas.